Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hello. Welcome. Keanvenient Truth. Hi, everyone.
All right, this is the actual episode 75.
This is
we
actual
made a
episode
mistake.
75. Last week was 74. Today is 75.
Yeah. Even though they both say 75 on the bottom. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Anyways.
Man, the great thing about doing a podcast from your home is that you can wear pajamas to it, which is great. And just be super comfortable.
And my sweatshirt.
No makeup, pajamas, sweatshirt. Just got back from kid's birthday party. Great. And now this is what we're doing. Yeah, we've had a busy weekend, busy long weekend, which is great. Friends in town, close friends, family, who we love and enjoy. Daughter's birthday party, which is great. She's turning 5, which is like, it's like really bugging me out, actually. Like on one side, I'm kind of like, okay, she's turning 5. It's good. It's cool. It's fun. It's cute. But on the other side, I'm like, she's turning 5. Like, we've been doing this for only 5 years. And I say only because it's like, when you think about it, it's really not a lot of time.
Yeah.
She's only been on this planet, in this world for 5 years. We've only known her for 5 years.
I tell her that sometimes. I'm like you, because when she acts as if she knows everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
How long have you been here? And she's like 5 years. I'm like, yeah. How long do you think Daddy's been here? 40 more years than you. So.
I know.
And then now she'll be like, all right,
Well, she still always thinks she's right. But 5 years, that's so crazy. It's like nothing. But actually, we did kind of know her before. I mean, like, I didn't know her, obviously, before I met you. But when I met you and we fell in love and I envisioned having kids with you was, I would say, the day that I knew her. Because I saw her. Remember, we would talk about it. We saw what she looked like.
She probably brought us together.
She picked us. She was like, you know who I want for parents? These two fucking anxiety-ridden, OCD-ridden.
I'll fix them.
I'll challenge the shit out of their anxiety. And she sure did.
She has.
Cured us.
Well, some of the things we're still working on.
Absolutely. Anywho, the world.
The world is a new place now.
This is going to be a short podcast today just because we've had a birthday party all day and we're exhausted. But I feel like because everyone's been bringing this up to me at work, it's been a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people are really, really, really affected by it. The world.
The world. What part of the world are you talking about?
I mean, man, I will tell you, if I'm going to go back to my first season, or our first season, of Keanvenient Truth, very first episode, which is titled Not a Trump Supporter, which is funny, right? But anyway, not a Trump supporter. And in that episode, I had actually, like, I referred to Trump as Manson, which I'm still gonna hold true to that because I think that there's some similarities there. But it's wild because he is not only an old president, former president, but the guy is president again. He got the popular vote.
Yeah. Popular vote, Senate, Congress, White House.
The guy crushed it.
Well, let's talk about this part of it, right? Like, forget about Trump, the president, but what we found out that night was that the people that were supporting Trump, I hate to say it, but were right the whole time. They were saying how there are like, if you look at his rallies and stuff, right? And how many people are there? 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people, right? And and you're looking at like the media and how they're portraying it, and like if you were just looking through the lens of Twitter, you could see that this was building up over the past year, right? Because there is no limitations there on Twitter, right? But then if you look at the media, they act as if this momentum wasn't coming. And but what happened on election night shows that they were suppressing the information that was there, the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty important point actually to get into because so the whole week, obviously I've had a lot of patients that have just been like really, really struggling. But one of the things that I've heard from every patient was that they didn't think that this was going to happen. And they were like shocked. And I was not, but they were shocked. And what it told me between just what they're saying and then between the fact that the guy got the popular vote and crushed it, right? And then got all the swing states basically.
Won everything. Like
Um,
almost everything.
So when I see that happen, and then when I listen to people, my patients, whomever, and people are like confused, I'm like, well, see, this is where I really focus on like the media.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I focus on the news. This is why I don't watch the news. This is why I think the news is ridiculous. I think all media is ridiculous. But it's interesting to me because it's like, well, because what they were saying apparently is that Kamala? Here we go.
Don't get it wrong. We might get some negative comments.
I'm going to get some person really rip me up about this. Anyway, what they were saying was that Kamala was like really winning, right? Like she was like she was like crushing it, all this stuff. Like anytime I saw something pop up on my feed, it was like, Kamala's blah, blah, like they're really doing, like they're this, they're that, like she's like moving in the numbers and blah, 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 blah.
Then come election night, you realize that was all a lie. Because
it had to have been because the votes, it had to have been because that's not how it, that's not how it went down.
Right. Which should tell everybody who watches the news or whatever that there's a lot of manipulation going on and they're skewing or suppressing the real truth.
Yeah, I can't stand the fucking news. But so
I would say this. I would say this whether it was they were doing it against Kamala.
Yeah, I don't care who they were doing it with.
I don't care because it's the truth is the truth. Right?
For me, it's just the matter of we know that the news skews so much, and you will only. This is why when people are like, like focus on facts, I'm like, well, what the fuck is a fact? Because if I'm listening to CNN, they're telling me one thing. If I'm listening to Fox, they're telling me another thing. If I'm listening to The Guardian, they're telling me another thing. Okay. All I know, though, is that, I heard this word this past week and someone used the word informed. And they were like, okay, like I have friends of mine and family who are well informed about things. And they were telling me all this stuff and they were and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, what does informed mean? Well, informed, like they went to school for politics or this and that, and they have done a lot of research with history and the world, and they told me all these things and blah, 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 but like it didn't happen that way. And I was like, okay, so for me, informed is something different. For me, if you're talking to me and you're telling me that you're informed, meaning you have actually done a deep dive outside of the fucking 2-second news clips that they put, whether on your Instagram news feed or on a clip on MSNBC, okay? If you actually went to the actual videos themselves and saw them from beginning to end on both sides of parties, everything, you watched every single video, you heard every single thing being said, you heard everything, then I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I feel like you were pretty well informed then, right? Because I know that for me, and this is like my first time really experiencing it, just because I so happen to love comedy. And because I love comedy and we love Tony Hinchcliffe, we watched his set on Trump's rally thing, right?
Wait, that was the only part of it we watched.
That was all we watched.
We were like, Tony Hinchcliffe is on there. It's gonna be hilarious.
It's gonna be hysterical. Gotta watch it.
So just watch that.
So we watched it from beginning to end. I also want to put a disclaimer if it matters, but like, I am Puerto Rican, Hispanic.
Yeah.
I love my land. I love Puerto Rico. I was born, like, not born there, but I was raised there for quite some time, back and forth in the my family, like, Puerto Rico is everything, you know.
They live there now.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is everything to me. But anyway, with that being said, I also love comedy, and I watched Hinchcliffe's, you know, whatever clip or the segment he did, the bit he did on Trump's rally. Now, I was hysterical. I was cracking up. I was like,
"This
shit
even, like,
is."
blink an eye when
I didn't blink
said
an
that.
eye. No, I was just like,
like that was ridiculous.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, he's so ridiculous, you know, like, but laughed because he's a comedian. Not only is he a comedian, he's like one of the best roasters out there. But so if you didn't know that going into it, then of course you were going to be kind of shocked. But anyway, so then I go to bed. I wake up the next morning on my WhatsApp family group chat, and my dad, who's a hardcore liberal Democrat, only watches probably MSNBC and CNN. My dad texts us this like Puerto Rico flag, and he's like, you know, Boricua, you know, like Puerto Rico's not trash. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me with this shit.
No shit, it's
like,
not trash.
I watched the whole thing. Then I go on to fucking Instagram and all the other fucking bullshit things out there, and everything was like, Tony Hinchcliffe's a racist. Boy, he called Puerto Rico trash. Da-da-da-da. And I was like mind blown by how the whole thing that was actually hysterical, okay? Like, that was a fucking bit by a comedian. I don't know if people know what comedians do.
Yeah, it's not like he was like a former engineer or anything.
No, he's nothing.
Like,
the guy's a fucking comedian.
His title is comedian.
He's a comedian, okay? Like, get any comedian. Actually, George, whatever. Is it George Lopez?
George Lopez did.
George Lopez was on
Kamala's
rally, actually.
He was making fun of Mexicans.
He always does. He always makes fun of Mexicans. Anyway.
Well, Tony Hinchcliffe, I guess, is not Puerto Rican, so that's why, maybe.
He's a fucking comedian. I mean,
but I don't think he's white either.
I don't know what the fuck he is.
Anyway.
Again, he's a fucking comedian, you know? So now I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, see, this is what I mean by I can't stand the news and I can't stand media. Because, like, again, I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. Like, watched it. Now, what I will say is that was it maybe, I guess, the best idea to bring a comedian roast master on a rally? Some people may say no, but guess what?
It all worked out.
Clearly it was, right, exactly. Like, so that's what's so crazy to me. I'm like, clearly you guys, everything that he was doing to many people was like crazy, but clearly it wasn't that crazy.
Yeah.
Clearly it wasn't that crazy.
What we're trying to get at is the news took that and ran with it. Like they do with so many things. This is just one aspect we're talking about that is very much in our face.
All the time.
Especially after election night. We have been going weeks, months of this bombardment about like, oh, Kamala's doing this great thing and then having this humongous rally with this famous person, that famous person. Everything's going great. It's almost a tie. It's so close. It was all bullshit.
I mean, it was pretty. Wait, what was the end result of the numbers? Because I feel like it was. She was only off by what? Like
no. The electoral college votes. It was something like he beat her by like 50 electoral college votes, which is pretty significant. It wasn't like a couple here or there. It was like a lot. Maybe not 50. Maybe like 20 or 30, but
I don't think,
it was high.
But is it that like? Because when I hear
Like
the
if it,
number 20, I'm like 20 is not that. But I mean,
well,
like
when you're only
she could have gotten 20, right?
well
Like,
when you're only talking about like a total of, I think it was you needed 270 to win,
yeah.
so like a total of just over 300. That's significant, right?
I
So
mean,
when like usually they can be pretty close, like 5 here, 10 the most, Yeah,
okay.
see, it was 12
Okay.
to see, yeah, it was damn, it was
226.
over what I was saying. So
So he got
312
312
to 226. So that's like
226.
almost 100.
Damn, son.
That's 90 something,
All right. Yeah. So that's pretty significant, I would say.
right? So and
Jesus,
then
the whole map is red,
yeah.
basically.
Another thing that's been coming out too is that um they've determined that the states that Kamala won are all states where you don't need to show ID. Some of them you just don't have. You have to show some sort of form of like
I'm confused.
validation,
Why, wait,
like
wait,
your
wait.
electric bill or
I
something.
thought you had to show ID in every state to vote.
No, and
What?
this is what they've been talking about for years now. That is
Hold up.
crazy, and it should be mandated that
No,
every
no.
single
But
state.
this doesn't make any sense, guys. Like, am I the only one that's like, this doesn't make any sense?
No,
How do
you're
you
not.
say that you have to legally vote? So, legally in the United States, right, you have to be 18 to vote, right? And you also have to be a United States citizen, I thought.
Yeah.
So, I'm confused how the fuck it is that you know that from me just walking in and showing you my damn electricity bill.
You don't know that. That's the whole point. This makes
Oh,
no sense.
that's wild.
They're saying it's like racist or insensitive to have to ask somebody for their ID or something. I don't know.
What?
I don't know what the thing against it is, but it needs to end.
Racist or insensitive? Don't even get me started, please.
Listen, I don't know what the deal is, but anyways, the states that she won were only states that do that, except for I think like Vermont. I
Let me
think
see.
she
What'd
might have
she
won.
win?
Did she win Vermont?
She won Vermont.
Yeah, so that was a state that doesn't require ID, and there was one other, but all the rest of them were states where you don't require or they don't require ID. Yeah, here it comes.
Oh my God. I don't mean to sound yet again really ditzy here, but I didn't realize that Seattle, it's all the way on the other.
The opposite place of Rhode Island, yeah.
Literally. Holy.
You didn't know where Washington.
Listen, this is why don't ask me about geography. Don't ask me about anything. I don't know shit about that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Yeah, maybe we should look at the map more often.
I should, right?
Stuff on there.
It's pretty bright right now. I could see with a bunch of red everywhere.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
So what I'm trying to get the point across is like, come on, people, if you trusted the media and like gone by word for word of everything. I'm not saying stop watching the news or whatever, but like at least there has to be a little piece of you that it has to admit that this is like been suppressed. This information is being suppressed and you're not getting the truth. The whole truth, at least, right? Like there's got to be a little bit of you that's like,
yeah, I wouldn't say definitely stop watching the news, but I would say I just think that like it's interesting too because I hear a lot of people tell me like that they also think that the news lies. But yet you're shocked when things like this happen and yet you still believe everything that the news tells you. So I'm confused. Yeah. How could on one side
lie about that though?
Right, but they do.
They clearly do. If they're going to lie about that, imagine all the dumb shit they lie to you about that doesn't really matter.
All the time. What I think this really ends up being, though, is like, I was on the phone, not the phone, but I was texting. No, I was talking to my dad. And while we were having this conversation, because I called him, I was like super scared to call him. Because I was just like, man, this guy's going to be like, this guy's going to be depressed. Like, I don't know, like how to even have a conversation with him right now. So I called my dad and I was like, hey, Dad, like really like gentle and kind of like nervous at the same time. And he was just like, hey. I was like, oh, okay. How you doing? And he was like, not good. And I was like, okay. And then he goes on about how everybody at the hospital right now is just depressed and the energy is so down and everything. And I was like, wow, okay. And he's really he's really feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
So, I get it. And we keep talking, and then he ends with saying, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna focus on you girls and my family and just focus on us, and that's it. And so I heard that, and I go,
Oh.
Dad, that's what I've been doing since I literally turned 18 and I was legally allowed to vote. I mean, like, I've been focusing on myself and the people who I love
Mm-hmm.
and my career and my job ever since I could vote. It didn't matter who was president. I was still doing the same thing. Just saying. It's just like, it doesn't really, it's like at the end of the day, like the most important thing is to just continue focusing on yourself, continue focusing on the people who you love, continue spreading good, loving, positive energy. None of that shit should change. Whether it's Trump, Kamala, Clinton, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like, none of that should change. We should all be doing the same things that we're doing, and just basically, maybe if anything, doing it better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, better. What is this? What are you
Sorry,
doing,
sorry,
man?
sorry. I'm just setting something up because I think I just
Why are you setting this up?
because I want to play something.
Oh, I would really wish you wouldn't.
No, you
No,
don't want to go down that road
no,
because I want to play. No, what I want to do is I just want to play a little something and be like, what is wrong with that?
no, no. That's not what I want to do
You
in
don't want to do
this.
that?
Not in here. No,
Oh my
I
god.
can't really, like. I'm very neutral. I can't. It's just
If you're so neutral, then we should never probably talk about politics.
I
Then.
talk about politics very neutrally, though. I blatantly
Well,
say
this
I
is a
don't know
neutral
about anything.
conversation about politics because we can also go play another video of somebody else and be like, does that make sense?
I mean,
I
all right,
just
you could
listen
go with
when
that.
I just want to play something and be like, I want to know if anybody out there is like, I want to know if they're going to be like, that's horrible.
Well, I don't think that they would say maybe that that's horrible, but I think that many people don't believe what he's saying.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't fully 100% believe
I don't
everything
believe what
anybody
any
says
I don't
either.
believe what any politician
But
says. None
but
of
it's like
them.
when somebody the reason why I was talking to David earlier, right? And the things that and it's not just Trump. It's like the people that he's selected to be around him, like RFK Jr. Everybody knows, like, okay, I'm an RFK Jr. fan, right? Um, like a person like that, he selects RFK Jr. These are the things that they're talking about now are the same things that I and a lot of other people have been talking about for like 10 plus years that like need to happen for our country to like turn in the other direction that it's been going. And now you have this president that the people behind him or around him that he's surrounding himself with are talking about all those things. And to me, I'm like, that's like validation of like, wow, this isn't just like bullshit talk. This is like deep, like really understanding of each topic and making decisions and plans to execute to
No,
actually
it's
get
very
them done.
detailed. And to be honest, I will say it's the first time that I've heard him actually really go that detailed. Usually he does the weave.
Yeah.
And then he never really answers the
You know what?
Question.
Let's not even play this one. Can we play an RFK one that's all about health?
But I don't think do people have an issue with RFK? Really?
I I
I
don't
guess
know.
I guess people do.
These are quote unquote extreme things that are going to take place once Trump gets into office. And one of them is like RFK Jr. taking over the the health of America, essentially.
And the FDA, right?
Well, FDA.
I'm psyched
He's
about
in
that. I
charge
am
of
about that.
like the freaking
I am
CDC,
about
the
that.
WHO, all this other stuff, right? So like he's out there saying, "Hey, we're going to get rid of the pesticides. We're going to get rid of fluoride." Fluoride was a myth for the longest time, right? And now they're saying we're going to get rid of it. Why? Because here's the science behind it. This is what it's causing in our children, in adults, and this is why we're taking it out.
I also do want to
Right?
be clear too, like, and maybe some people don't know this, but RFK has actually sued
And won
a
hundreds of billions of
tremendous
dollars
like many drug companies
and won.
and won. Just
And the reason why
I
you
will
never
say
heard of
that.
it is because the pharmacy, the drug companies just paid the money to all the damaged people and their families,
Mhm.
and basically everybody just shut up about it, and they just paid everything off, so it would just get swept under the rug. But RFK Jr. was the lawyer that did that. He
Mhm.
knows the ins and outs of all these pharmaceutical companies that are doing fucked up shit to your kids, our us ourselves. Like, it's in the food, it's in the pesticides, it's in
Yeah,
everything.
that I definitely believe. I mean, when it comes to the food and all that stuff, I'm very much about it. I feel like why aren't we doing what everybody else in the world does, such as Europe or, Asia or anything like that, where they actually like
Care about their
have like
kids'
like
health.
extreme restrictions on food and don't sell fucking Fruit Loops because there's crazy chemicals that
Yeah,
can actually
and,
fucking like kill you or give
and
you cancer.
he's wanting to revamp the healthcare system. And if anybody thinks that our current healthcare system is like the most amazing thing in the world,
Yeah,
it's like the worst. We're a sick
we're the
system, is what we
worst.
have.
United States is the
They're
worst.
basically just keeping people sick in this country, right?
Yeah.
Why do we want to continue that? We should all be excited that we're going to start to do something different and get rid of this mentality and the way that these pharmaceutical and food industry corporations have been like poisoning
But
us.
again, I think it boils down to, though, and I've always said this, it boils down to perspective in terms of what is most important to you. For you, the
Mm-hmm.
food and everything that you just said is literally the most important thing to you. But to somebody else, that might not be.
Well,
To somebody else, what the most important thing is may be, you know, free rights and, abortions and whatever it may be, right?
mm-hmm.
Like, but for you, it's that. That's why for you, you're so passionate about it. That's why for you, it's your thing because you're like, how can anyone think this is crazy? But you don't think it's crazy because it's your fucking thing.
Well, the reason why is because you got to go to the source of things, right? So meaning, like, if your thing, whatever you want to say your thing is about, say it's abortion, fine, okay, right? How are you to fight for the rights of an unborn baby if you yourself are being poisoned on a daily basis and maybe either obese, have cancer, have some sort of disease that's ultimately going to kill you and prevent you from fighting for what your thing is, not the main thing? How is that not the ultimate thing that everybody should unite and care about?
Well,
Because we
there's
can't argue about shit if we're dead.
right, but the reason why that is because there's like such a lot of people though will be able to do that before they die, before they get cancer, before they get Alzheimer's, before they get
Okay, so we haven't cured cancer yet, supposedly, right? A lot of other countries have, but we
mm,
haven't here, right? Um, so there's these nonprofit organizations, all this, like the yellow ribbons, all this stuff about getting rid of cancer, right? But like, if you're healthy enough and you understand that there are already cures for cancer, we're just being misinformed by the same pharmaceutical companies that are freaking destroying everything, right? So,
but again, this is important to you. You have to see that, Joe. You have to see that a lot of this is just solely based on someone's importance and what they value.
Hold on. All right. So what is a thing to you that is like above everything? That because like the source, like the thing that if you didn't have that, you couldn't argue for any of these other things that you care about.
Like what's important to me? I don't.
There can be something that's important to you, but it doesn't fucking matter if, like I said, either you're dead or
right, but
you
it doesn't.
have
A
some
lot
sort
of
of disease that
I
prevents you from
understand that,
doing whatever.
but and I hear what you're saying. It's not that I don't. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Also, some of these things, such as cancer, take a long time to do studies and research and figure out. So there could be somebody, and there probably was somebody that started to research cancer back in the freaking 19 freaking 30s or whatever, and then maybe because they were eating fucking poison all the time, they only lived to be maybe 75. So they couldn't continue their research. And then somebody picked it up after them. And then they didn't understand everything. So then they skewed it, and so on and so on and so on. Now, if we were healthy all the time, we could maybe just get through our lives, figure out these long-term things, continue the process on. I mean, yes, okay, I hear you. Some of the shit can get done, I guess, before somebody dies in like one lifetime. That's why they don't care. Saying. But what about their kids' kids? Do you care about our daughter's kids or your own kids?
So again, it's about how you look at it. I do believe that everyone who has kids is most likely looking at it as what is going to be good for my kids. But
they're not.
I do, but I think it's just based on how they're looking at it. Someone can literally on the other side sit here and say, yeah, I am thinking about my kids. This is why I want abortions to be legal everywhere and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And so absolutely, I could hear that side. And they would be valid. They wouldn't be wrong.
But so you're saying you can only care about one thing?
I'm saying that I think that when people vote, when people find someone, a candidate who they like, who they want to vote for, they are focusing on only what is mainly important to them.
I see what's going on here. I understand. So listen, the reason why that's so important to them is we're going to rewind back to the beginning of what we were saying of the manipulation by the media. They choose what topic they want people to be passionate and complain about. Now, if you have a government or if you have a media that is educating the public on a regular basis on the poisons and what's happening and the pharmaceutical companies that control everything, they're not going to do that. You know why? Because the pharmaceutical companies own the media companies.
Well, that I know.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It's a whole thing. The reason why that person only cares about abortion is because they're not being educated that they're being poisoned and their kids are getting poisoned by the food that they're buying at the grocery store every fucking week. Now, if I was on the news all day long, everybody would care and it would end today.
Everybody would care, but I still think that people are going to have certain things that resonate a little more with them.
Well, we could still work on those other things, but what I'm asking, what's more important to society as a whole and the
I hear you, but Joe, there are people in this world who don't think who think completely differently.
Fine.
And there's no right or wrong.
What I'm trying to get at is that I think that there are certain things that can unite everybody a little bit more than others. If we're talking about the abortion thing, there is the very divisive thing going on there. It's either one way or another. It's either you care about like unborn children or you don't. It's like one, or you kind of do, and it's like whatever second or third term or whatever the fuck it is. Wherever then those are the ratios. It's like when do you want to kill a baby, right? So, but with what I'm talking about, like health and the health of your children and yourself and moving forward and educating the public and all these things, it's like, to me, I'm like, that's like if you know about it, you're like, fuck yeah. If you don't know about it, that's when you're like, this thing seems a little bit more important because I don't really know a lot about that. And that's conspiracy or whatever, right? That's the only reason why you're being manipulated.
Again, I hear you. I just I'm really standing with my thought that I think that someone else on the other side, let's say, can easily dispute their view in the way that they see it. I'm just not them, because I'm just the person playing devil's advocate here.
Okay.
And again, I think for either one of you, me personally, I wouldn't think that either one of you was saying anything right or wrong.
Okay.
I think that you both would have very valid points, in my opinion.
Episode 75 is marking the day that this all actually starts. We're actually going to be able to see this happen over the next 4 years, because RFK Jr. is everything that I'm talking about, he is doing, including getting the pharmaceutical companies and the money that they spend on the media out. They're separating that. They're severing that connection.
I'm about that.
Which we're about to see the reality of everything that I just spoke about. So episode 75 is that day. Now, maybe a year from now, episode maybe 150 or whatever the hell it is, we're going to look back and we're going to see what people are talking about on a regular basis, when what's more important. And I can guarantee you that everything I'm saying, people are going to care about more in a year from now.
I don't know.
Guaranteed. And it's all because of what they're hearing. Like you're saying, like, oh yeah, people are being. You just agreed with me. People are being manipulated, but you don't think that it's to this level.
I didn't say I agree with you about that.
You said people are being manipulated by the media.
Not about the abortion thing or whatever it is that you're saying. What I'm saying,
they won't do it with that.
What I just said, what I said, generally speaking, was I think that the news and the media definitely lies and puts out like information based on showing you only what they want you to hear and what they want you to see. Yes, that's what I said. That was an earlier conversation. When we're talking about this, okay, yeah, I'm sure they do that or whatever it is, but I still, at the end of the day, think that abortion is still a very big concern and topic. And I think that people, especially women, actually really do truly are like, no, that shit is fucking the most important thing to me.
Sorry, I'm not putting it down like it's not an important topic. What I'm trying to say is that something of like, when you're talking about the health of our kids and ourselves, like to the point of like we're literally poisoning ourselves, like just by doing this, drinking tap water.
Well, we're not drinking tap water.
Well, we're not drinking tap water, but most people are. Just by, this is a normal, nobody would even think of it. Well, we're just sipping fucking water, right? No, we're constantly poisoning ourselves. You don't think that is like something, a revolutionary thought that maybe coming to life here, that people are going to be like, holy fucking shit. And then you all immediately kind of stop. You change your priorities is what I'm saying.
I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen in a year.
No? Okay.
I'm going to tell you why.
This is great. Let's hear it.
So, for the same reason why, and I'm going to wrap this into like a clinical thing. So when people come into my office and let's say they want to work on anxiety or some trauma, they have these negative belief systems about themselves. They have these messages they've been telling themselves for so long based upon their environment, what they've went through, what their parents told them, whatever it may be, right? Now, when they were 4, they didn't have these thoughts. When they were 4, they weren't thinking, oh, I'm a piece of shit, or, oh, I'm a loser, or, oh, I'm this, right? Over time and over whatever was going on in their environment, they then started to take those beliefs on as though it was their own. Now at 40, they're coming to me and now they believe those thoughts to be very true and to be theirs. They were never theirs. They were never ever. They were somebody else's, but you took them on and now they're yours, right? So now, hold on.
I just want to know the exact topic that we're talking about.
I'm talking about why I don't believe that everyone's going to change and see this as important in a year. Okay. So now they come to me, they're 40, 30, whatever it may be. And they've been holding on to these messages for more than 20 years, right? Believing them to be very true. So they come to me, and now I have to help them. People who've been holding on to these messages for more than 20, 30, 40 years, I have to now help them to think differently about themselves. I have to help them believe something completely opposite and foreign to them.
Mm.
Realistically speaking, when people are doing the good old-fashioned talk therapy, which is all that people can afford, because, well, hopefully when RFK comes in and everything, then psychedelics psychedelics will be legal. But so realistically, when you're doing talk therapy, CBT, all the fucking, basic ones, in order to restructure or help someone restructure those thoughts that have been heavily embedded in them since they were like God knows how old, I'm talking realistically like 4 years or more.
Yeah.
Like, so now, so this is why I don't believe that it would take a year. I think it would take actually extremely long, like longer than 5 years, because the world and society, especially in the United States, right, has been making us believe or think something else, has been making people believe and think and hold on to a whole different message, right? Oh, eat this thing. It says natural. It's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
This and that, right? It's been doing that for fucking ever. So people are now programmed, right, for God knows how long, to believe that if it says natural, it's good, or if it has this, it's good, right? When you and I know that that's not the case, right? But many people in the world do believe that, right?
Yeah.
Because of what society and just everything has been telling them. So now you're telling me that in a year, this is RFK is going to change, let's say something, it's all going to, the truth is going to come out, things are going to be exposed, look at what we're eating, everything's poison. And you think in a year, people are suddenly going to be like, oh my God, that's it. Health, this is the most serious thing. This is most serious than anything. No, I do not believe that in any way, shape, or form. I think it's going to take way longer than that.
Okay. I'm gonna combat that. Okay.
Of course you are.
I hear you. What I do hear is that I hear that when when you made that description of that, right? When you're talking about things that are embedded as your child, your teacher, your parents, like embedded in you, right, at a young age, those things are individually, like, all right, like whether because they I don't know, some sort of trauma, or they were telling you you're an idiot, you don't know anything or something.
But not
and you
even
get
just
these
like school, you were bullied.
things.
I mean, lots of things.
Yeah. So there's all that. Now these are all like personal to the individual, right? Now, when we're talking about this health thing, the reason why I believe within a year it can change is because there's multiple things that RFK is planning on doing, and it's not just like, oh, we're just going to start talking about the truth and everybody's going to be like, oh wow, we know the truth now. No, it's going to be, first off, we will be doing that, talking about it, saying this is what's been going on and now this is what we're doing. He's also severing that tie between media and the big corporations who are funding the commercials and stuff, so that the media is forced to not talk about the things that are going to harm the pharmaceutical companies, right? So that's going to be severed, right? This is all simultaneous. And then at the same time, he's also going to make it illegal to put pesticides, all these other chemicals. So the industry is going to be forced to change like overnight, right? To do all the things like Europe is doing and putting only 3 ingredients in the fucking French fries or whatever the fuck it is, right? So whether people like it or not in this country, they're going to start eating healthier off the rip. Even if they go to McDonald's all the fucking time, it's going to be healthier oils there. And they're just going to feel healthier over the course of time, no matter what. They may be even thinking clearer in a year, right? So
wait, so hold on. So you firmly believe that everything that, let's say, they're saying, Donald Trump, RFK, all of them, right? You firmly believe that everything that they're saying that they're going to do, it's going to happen in a year?
Well, the capability of being able to do these things are literally like, they don't have to go through Congress to do these things. It's basically like, listen, these corporations are poisoning us. here's the evidence that this ingredient is poison, so they need to stop today. Figure out something. Either you go out of business because you can't fucking use a different oil that costs a little bit more, or fucking change it up today, right? So that's what's going to have to happen. That's what's going to happen. So there's all these things, and probably more that I'm not even like thinking about. There's other things.
So these big companies, everyone's just going to be able to go, oh, okay, we'll change it right now.
They do it for the other countries. They're already doing it for the other countries. They can do it today.
Well, the other countries have been doing it. It was never even like...
It's not a big change. It's like literally, instead of using canola oil, they have to use avocado oil. That costs a little bit more. But who gives a fuck? And nobody gives a fuck about Kellogg's spending whatever, because they're a multi-billion-dollar company anyways, and they should be feeding us healthy fucking food, right? There is this movement that is happening right now. And once the media starts fucking covering it, it's going to spread like wildfire, and everybody's going to be like, holy shit, I've been trying to figure out how I feed my kid the healthiest thing, and all I do now is I go to the grocery store and I get the thing that says natural, and I get the thing that says kids and all that stuff, and I think I'm doing the best I can. But guess what? You're being duped, and you're not doing the best thing, but it's not your fault. It's because you're being manipulated, and they're cutting the fucking manipulation off. And then, like I said, no matter what, you're going to be eating healthier, even if you're eating the shittiest food you can think of. They're going to be using better quality products in the creation of those.
Man, I will say, not to go off the thing, but like the McDonald's in Europe is so good. It's literally the best McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's in fucking like over 10 years.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you don't get
it's the best McDonald's I've ever had.
You know, when you eat like that shit, like you kind of like feel shitty like the next day.
No,
like a hangover.
You feel clean. It's not heavy.
You know why?
It's light.
You know why? It's still garbage.
Of course.
It's still garbage from like garbage cows and shit like that. But at least they're using like quality oils that are not like actually giving you cancer or making you foggy headed and shit. So
best.
So think about it. Over a year, if you're able to, like what you've done it in less than a year.
I've done it because that was my own individual choice.
Right. But that was only because you have me talking to you. You have like...
Well, I have medical issues, and so it clearly helped.
There's medical issues. There was a lot of reasons, but like you did it though. Like once you were aware and knew what you needed to do. So that's where RFK comes in, where he's going to put out commercials and freaking be on news channels and media and do this whole promotion of like, this is what we're doing.
Listen, we'll see. Again, I hear you. I'm not trying to like fight what you're saying. I'm just simply stating another way of looking at it, possibly.
Yeah, I hear you. What you're saying, you're coming from what has been. And I understand that. And a lot of people would probably clearly think that way, because they're like, it's just they're saying this, they don't really know. But I'm telling you, from somebody who has been called a conspiracy theorist for like the past 15 years on like and doing years worth of like research and reading bills and whatever and like understanding how medicines work and stuff like that. This guy, RFK Jr. for one, and everybody else around Trump are legit. They've been around forever. They've been doing this, but they've been fighting the battle without the support of the rest of the country. That's why you never hear from them. You never hear about it. And it's unfortunate. And that's because the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know that they got sued and lost fucking $20 billion. So they own the media companies, so it never gets told. The story never gets told. But RFK is telling the story, and he was there, and he's changing the script. I'm telling you. And that's one aspect of this whole administration that I don't even care. Like, if this is the only good thing, I think this is going to change the world. If Trump gets up there and says all these tax reliefs, and he doesn't do any of it, but RFK gets to go in there and change the health of this country, it changes the trajectory of everything, because you got 350 billion people thinking clearer and understanding, like comprehending things better than they've ever comprehended things in the past, because they've been drinking fluoride water.
Who's the one that said something about dismantling the media?
That was Trump, and that was the video I was going to play.
I'm like, who's the one that said that?
That was the video I was going to play.
That's actually like, I'm
so
about
not
that.
only am I saying that RFK wants to do this, and he's part of Trump's administration, you get Trump, who is the president, saying the exact same thing. That's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it. That's the video that he's posted, and I wanted to see if like people were like, that's stupid, I can't believe we don't want that. Like, there's nothing in it.
Again, I don't think anyone's going to say that specifically to what he's saying, because I do think in that specific clip he's not saying anything fucking crazy, but I do think that people, again, one, won't believe him, or two, will be like, I mean, like, that's not even like a big deal. You know, it's like he's focusing on things that aren't even that serious. I do think people will think that. And because, again, people are focusing on something else that they consider to be very important.
Right. And if you're being manipulated and brainwashed by the media and you don't know it, then why would you even care about any of this shit? Right? You would just be like, that's crazy. But that's why I brought up the election day results, because that should be a red flag to most people in this country that were paying attention during that time, that it was all fucking bullshit that they were telling you.
But you know that, like, remember when there was this was a while ago too, but you could find this anywhere. There was like these clips going around. It wasn't a clip, it was like they would show you from one news outlet, and they were talking about, let's say, firefighters, right? So it'd be like CNN talking about firefighters, and then like MSNBC talking about the firefighters. But they'd say
they use the exact same words.
They would use the exact same words, but some of the you know, news channels would, though, like, have different, they would add something in there that would change the, like, what they were saying, but they were saying the same thing.
Yeah, it was like each news anchor kind of said it in their own way, but it was essentially saying the same things. Like,
right, but
like, that's a threat to democracy. That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. They had a video of that, of like thousands of like news broadcasts saying the exact same thing.
Right, but I'm wondering though, because I don't remember any of those news ones, like if like a Fox was on there or like a.
I don't.
That's probably what I don't remember.
No, I think it was all the news stations, because really, all the news stations, like even the ones that maybe support Republicans, they still play both sides of the fence, because they never know which way the wind's going to blow. You know, and they got to be ready to pivot.
Yeah.
But you know, some of them, right? Like Fox is more heavily Republican, and MSNBC is more Democratic, but they both flip flop whenever they need to. You know,
people flip flop now, because now suddenly they're about to charge, or they've charged the guys who apparently attempted to assassinate Trump.
Right, all of a sudden.
And now I'm hearing about that. Listen, they tried to assassinate him how long, months ago, and now I'm hearing that they finally actually.
And it was the same.
And it just so happened.
Trump said
it was the same people. It just so happened to be after he won. Right. I don't know. I find that kind of sketch.
He said, I think it's on the Andrew Schultz show.
He did, actually. I heard that one. He said, I know who's trying to kill me. I think it's these people.
Iranians,
yeah,
right?
He did say that.
Come to find out, these people that they arrested are
bada bing, bada boom.
Iran.
I will say that was true. So, he did say that.
Anyways, so it's just like, I know it's like crazy out there and it's hard to keep up with all this stuff, but like, let's just see what happens. You know, at least this is what Vivek said the other day, and he was just like, listen, I understand there's been a battle, blah blah blah, but like, let's just like at least give him a chance. And he says he's going to do a lot of things. Like, this is like a lot of shit. Like, even I'm like,
so let's see.
That's a lot of shit he's trying to do.
So let's see.
But all the shit I can say that he's trying to do is not. I'm like, okay. Like, if he did it, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Right? Oh, you're going to get rid of income tax? Ooh, what an asshole. Like, great. Do it. And I want to see it. If you don't do it, then you're a liar.
Again, there are people that don't care about the income tax.
Okay, well, whatever it is
they
that
care about something else.
But more. I'm saying he's got a lot of things that he says he's going to do, and I'm sure, and everybody, whatever topic that you're passionate about, he's got something to say about it, and you're probably like, okay, do it.
Mm.
And like, we will see, right? But yeah, I guess the number one thing is like the other thing that we've talked about a couple of times is if you go back to the abortion thing,
Mm-hmm.
he has put the abortion back in the state's hands, which is closer to the individual, which is what we should do with everything, really. Like nothing. I don't understand people that want someone or some entity at this high level that doesn't even know your name or the like what city you live in or whatever, telling that town what to fucking do, whether it's abortion, whether it's guns, whether it's fucking what you feed your kids. Nothing. They shouldn't be telling us shit. And the federal government isn't actually allowed to tell us shit about most things if you read the Constitution. They're allowed to protect this country. They're allowed to build militaries, I guess, and a handful of other things that are literally specifically written out in the Constitution. So if we got rid of more than half of the federal government agencies, that would be constitutional, because most likely most of them are unconstitutional because it's specifically written in there what the federal government is allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do.
So let's make a deal that next Sunday
We don't talk about any shit.
we don't talk about any politics anymore.
Well, we had to get into this. I mean,
no, this was important because
fresh.
this obviously just happened, and many people are affected by it. I do think it's important, so I'll cut you some slack.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get into any Well, no, we did. We did do some like psychological thinking on how people may or may not react to, what's happening.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, it was political, but it was also, we got into the minds of the individuals that are going through this process, I think.
I mean,
on a broad basis.
On a very broad, yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to fade.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, I'm ready to roll. This was supposed to be short.
It was supposed to be short, and I'm like,
oh, it's been almost an hour.
Falling asleep.
Okay, yeah, we gotta go.
All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your night. I hope you get some really good sleep. I'm about to hit the hay so hard. Yeah. And sending love, sending good energy, and I hope everyone